Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive.
Always fun to be back.
Today, we're going to be diving into a book that one of you sent to us.
Oh, excellent.
It's Make Your Bed by Admiral William H. McRaven.
Oh, yes.
You know, the one with the famous Navy SEAL training stories and those 10 life lessons that everybody keeps talking about?
Right.
And we're going to dive deep into it to uncover those key takeaways and really try to find those little hidden gems that McRaven tucked in there.
You know what's really interesting about this book is that he goes beyond just sharing like war stories and stuff.
Right.
He actually gives us these 10 principles that he learned during his time in the SEALs.
Right.
And these things really helped him to thrive, not only as a leader, but also as a human being.
Yeah, for sure.
So we'll see.
We're going to cover all 10, starting with the most well-known, of course.
Yes.
Make your bed. You know, it sounds so simple.
Right.
But McRaven really argues that this small act can really set you up for success in a lot of ways.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
What do you think about that?
Well, you know, he actually connects to this idea of making your bed to this bigger picture of discipline and order.
Oh, okay.
It's about starting your day with this sense of accomplishment, however small it might be.
Right. You know, it's almost like setting the tone for the entire day.
Exactly.
Right. You conquered this one tiny little task.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, I'm ready to tackle the bigger thing.
It gives you momentum.
Right.
And McRaven even contrasts this habit with his observation of Saddam Hussein in captivity. Hussein, stripped of all of his power, he didn't bother making his bed.
Wow.
You know, it's a really striking detail that McRaven uses to illustrate how even these tiny rituals can reflect this sense of self-worth, this sense of taking control, even when everything else feels really chaotic.
You know, that detail about Hussein really stuck with me too.
Oh yeah, me too.
It's such a little thing.
It is.
But it's almost like it's such a little thing that it speaks volumes about that person's mindset.
Yes.
And it makes you think, you know, what are those little rituals, those make your bed moments that help us feel grounded and in control, even when life is throwing those curveballs at us?
That's a great question to ask yourself.
Yeah, and McRaven's own story about this is pretty powerful too, you know.
Yes.
After a serious parachute accident that left him bedridden, do you know the first thing that he did when he could finally stand again? I bet I know.
Let me guess.
He made his hospital bed.
You got it.
Yeah.
Such a powerful symbol of reclaiming his agency, you know?
Yeah.
And it's a reminder that even in the face of adversity, we can choose to take control of what we can, however small it might seem.
And that idea of taking control leads us nicely into the next chapter. Find someone to help you paddle.
Oh, yeah.
This one's all about the importance of teamwork and leaning on others, especially during those tough times.
Of course, of course.
It's like even the toughest Navy SEALs can't go it alone.
Absolutely. McRaven actually uses the grueling rubber raft training in SEAL training as a perfect example of this.
Oh, wow.
Imagine 10 guys crammed into this tiny rubber raft battling the waves.
Okay.
They had to work together, synchronize their paddling, support each other, or they would literally sink.
Wow.
It really highlights how crucial each person's contribution is to the success of the whole team.
You know, you've identified McRaven's book as like a guide to action.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how we can actually identify and nurture our own support network.
Okay.
Who are our paddlers?
Right.
And are we being good paddlers for other people?
Such a vital point, because this lesson goes way beyond just military training.
Sure.
Think about your own life.
Right.
Those moments where you felt overwhelmed or lost.
Yeah.
Who are the people that helped you through it?
Right.
Who are the people you can really rely on now? And who are you showing up for in return?
I love that you bring it back to our own lives like this.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get caught up in those thrilling SEAL stories.
Right.
But these lessons are really for all of us.
Yes.
And speaking of applying these lessons, McRaven's own experience with that parachute accident. It's a powerful testament to the importance of having those paddlers.
Oh, for sure.
His recovery wasn't just about physical strength. It was about the unwavering support of his wife, Georgian.
Oh, wow.
And his whole network of friends and family.
It really emphasizes that we're not meant to go through life's challenges alone. And the beauty of it is we don't have to.
Yeah, that's true.
There's strength and vulnerability, you know, reaching out. And allowing others to support us just as we support them.
Okay, moving on to chapter 3. Measure a person by the size of their heart.
Oh, I love this one.
I have to admit, sometimes I'm guilty of judging a book by its cover.
Yeah, we all are.
But this chapter really challenges that tendency.
It does.
It's about looking beyond physical appearance or outward achievements and recognizing the power of inner strength and character.
And McRaven really drives this point home with the story of this small seaman recruit in his SEAL class.
Okay.
This guy was constantly doubted by the instructors because of his size.
Wow.
I kept telling him he wasn't big enough to make it.
I can only imagine how discouraging that must have been.
Absolutely. But here's the thing. This recruit, he refused to let their doubts define him. Yeah. He pushed himself even harder.
Right.
Proving that true grit really comes from within.
Right.
Not from physical stature.
Wow.
You know, it reminds me of the saying, it's not the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of the fight in the dog.
I love that.
Yeah.
And then there's that amazing anecdote about McRaven mistaking a Medal of Honor recipient, Tom Norris, for someone who wouldn't make it through training.
I know, that's a great one.
Norris didn't fit the stereotype of the tough guy.
Right.
Yet he possessed incredible courage and determination.
Yeah.
Talk about a lesson in humility.
It's such a great example of how appearances can be deceiving.
Right.
Norris's story and that of the small seaman recruit teach us to look beyond the surface and recognize the potential that might be hidden in unexpected places.
Yeah, and it also begs the question, how often do we make assumptions about people based on their appearance or their outward traits? Are we missing out on recognizing the true size of their heart?
You know, it's a powerful question to consider.
Yeah, and it leads us perfectly to chapter 4.
Okay.
Which brings a dose of reality. Life's not fair, drive on.
Oh, that's a tough one.
It is. McRaven doesn't sugarcoat things.
No, he doesn't.
He acknowledges that life throws curveballs.
Yes.
Often when we least expect them.
It does.
It's a reminder that sometimes things happen that we can't control.
Right.
But what we can control is our response.
Yeah, I mean, how do we respond to those curveballs?
And to illustrate this point, McRaven talks about sugar cookies in SEAL training.
Sugar cookies?
Yeah, these were essentially arbitrary punishments, like being forced to jump in the ocean fully clothed.
Oh, no.
And roll around in the sand until you're completely covered, head to toe.
That does not sound fun.
Sounds miserable, really. Yeah. But what's the point of that?
Yeah.
It's not like they did anything wrong to deserve that.
Yeah.
So why would they do that to them?
The point was to teach them to deal with discomfort and unfairness, to build resilience in the face of the unpredictable.
Okay.
Because in real life missions, things rarely go according to plan.
Of course.
You have to be able to adapt to keep moving forward, even when you're cold and wet and sandy.
So it's like life is going to throw those sugar cookies at you.
Yes.
Whether you deserve them or not.
Yes.
The key is how you respond.
That's right. Do you let it derail you, or do you shake off the sand and keep going?
Exactly.
And McRaven shares this incredibly moving story about Moki Martin, a SEAL instructor who embodies this principle in such a profound way.
Oh, yes. Moki Martin's story.
I know.
It's heartbreaking, but it's also incredibly inspiring.
It really is.
It really is. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, so after this bicycle accident left him paralyzed, Moki could have easily just given up.
Yeah, of course.
He had every reason to be angry and bitter. But instead, he chose to drive on.
Yeah.
He didn't let his circumstances define him.
He didn't.
He went on to become an accomplished painter, a loving father, and even a triathlete competing in races using a hand cycle.
That's amazing.
It really is.
His story shows us that even in the face of unimaginable challenges, we still have the power to choose how we respond.
We do.
Wow.
Moki's story really challenges us to examine our own reactions to setbacks. Are we letting perceived unfairness hold us back?
Yeah.
Or are we finding ways to adapt to find meaning and purpose even when the path ahead seems impossible?
It's a powerful reminder that our mindset plays a huge role.
It does.
In how we navigate all those ups and downs of life.
For sure.
And speaking of mindset, this leads us perfectly into chapter 5. Don't be afraid of the circus. This chapter is all about embracing failure.
Oh, yeah.
As a stepping stone to growth and resilience.
I like that.
Yeah.
And what's intriguing here is how McRaven uses the circus in SEAL training to illustrate this point.
What's the circus?
So the circus was basically an extra grueling workout for those who didn't meet the day's standards.
So it's like a consequence for failing?
Yes, but also an opportunity.
Okay.
It was designed to push those SEAL candidates even harder to help them to learn from their mistakes and come back even stronger.
So it's more about pushing through discomfort.
Yeah.
And finding your limits.
Yes.
And then pushing past them.
And then pushing past them, exactly.
I love how he reframes failure.
I know, it's great.
It's not about a lack of ability.
Right.
It's a necessary part of the learning process, especially when you're striving for something challenging.
Exactly.
And, you know, it's not like these guys were strangers to the circus.
No.
McRaven tells this great story about how he and his swim buddy, Mark Thomas, were constantly ending up in the circus for their swimming. They were always at the back of the pack, struggling to keep up.
I can imagine.
But instead of letting it defeat them, they used it as fuel to improve.
Oh, wow.
And get this.
What?
They actually ended up becoming some of the strongest swimmers in their class.
Isn't that amazing?
That is really amazing.
It's really amazing how their willingness to embrace those circus moments, to keep pushing through the discomfort, ultimately led to their success.
Right.
It's a great reminder that sometimes the most difficult experiences are the ones that shape us the most.
And it makes you think about what circus moments you might be facing in your own life.
Exactly. What are those challenges that feel like setbacks, but could actually be opportunities for growth?
Right, and how can we shift our perspective to see them as chances to learn and improve?
That's such an important question, and you know, it ties beautifully into the next chapter.
Oh, really?
Where McRaven encourages us to push past our comfort zones and take calculated risks.
Okay, so we're going to take a break right now, and when we come back, we're going to dive right into that next chapter.
Sounds great.
Stay with us. Okay, so we're back and ready to dive into Chapter 6. Slide down the obstacle head first.
Oh, yeah.
Now, this one really resonated with me because I tend to overthink things, you know, play it safe.
Yeah.
But McRaven's message here is all about pushing past those fears and taking calculated risks.
It's about recognizing that growth often happens outside of our comfort zones.
Right.
And McRaven uses a great anecdote from SEAL training to illustrate this point.
Okay.
Remember the slide for life?
Oh yeah, the rope obstacle strung high above the water.
Exactly.
Where the fastest way down was to slide head first.
Yes.
Yeah.
And initially, McRaven chose the slower, safer route. But he eventually realized that by avoiding that headfirst slide, he was also avoiding the opportunity to conquer his fear and become more efficient.
Oh, yeah.
So he took the plunge literally.
And, you know, that experience really stayed with him.
Yeah.
Years later, as a leader, McRaven had to approve a high-risk daylight hostage rescue mission in Iraq.
Wow.
He knew the dangers, but he also recognized the potential rewards.
Right.
He had learned that sometimes calculated risk-taking is essential for achieving a greater good.
You know, for instance, in Chapter 6, McRaven discusses the balance between calculated risk and recklessness.
Right. How do we determine when a risk is worth taking?
Right. What questions should we be asking ourselves before taking that leap?
That's a great point. It's not about being reckless. It's about assessing the situation, weighing the potential risks and rewards, and then making an informed decision.
And sometimes the biggest risk is not taking any risks at all.
Right, because then you're just staying stagnant.
Exactly.
You know, our listeners send in this book because you're looking for ways to make a change in your life.
Yeah.
Do you see any parallels between McRaven's Slide for Life and any decisions that you're facing right now?
It's a powerful concept to consider.
And speaking of facing fears head on, that brings us to Chapter 7. Don't back down from the sharks.
Oh.
This one really gets to the heart of courage in the face of adversity.
No, I don't know about you, but the thought of swimming with sharks in the dark?
Yeah, no thank you.
It's enough to send shivers down my spine. McRaven actually recounts that experience from SEAL training, and it's pretty chilling stuff.
Oh, I bet it is.
It's a visceral reminder that sometimes you have to confront your fears, even when every instinct is telling you to run in the opposite direction. And the amazing thing is McRaven connects this experience to something seemingly unrelated. His interactions with Saddam Hussein in captivity.
Wait, what do sharks have to do with Saddam Hussein?
It's all about how bullies like sharks operate. Even though Hussein was stripped of his power, he still managed to intimidate the new Iraqi leaders.
Wow.
He hadn't lost his ability to instill fear.
So it's not just about physical courage, but also the courage to stand up to those forces that try to diminish us, make us feel small.
Yes.
Whether that's a literal shark or a figurative bully.
It's about recognizing those sharks in our own lives.
Right.
Those things that we shy away from out of fear.
Yeah.
It could be a difficult conversation, a career change.
Yeah.
Or even just speaking up for ourselves.
Right.
What are those sharks you might be facing, and how can you find the courage to stand your ground?
It's a powerful reminder that courage isn't the absence of fear.
No.
It's about acting despite it.
Exactly.
And speaking of acting in the face of adversity, Chapter 8, Be Your Very Best in the Darkest Moments,
yes,
is all about resilience.
Resilience.
It's that ability to rise above challenges even when it feels like everything is falling apart.
And McRaven brings us back to SEAL training with a story about a night dive with near zero visibility.
Okay.
Can you imagine you're swimming blind?
I don't even like swimming underwater when I can see.
Right.
So no, I can't imagine.
Relying solely on your compass and your training.
Oh my gosh, that sounds terrifying.
Right. And during that exercise, the instructors kept hammering home this point.
What's that?
You must be your very best in the darkest moments.
Wow.
It's about finding that inner strength when it matters most.
And McRaven takes this idea beyond the training ground. He talks about those solemn ramp ceremonies at Dover Air Force Base.
Oh, yes.
Where the bodies of fallen soldiers are received.
Yes.
It's such a heartbreaking, somber experience.
It is.
Yet he observes how the military community comes together,
right,
offering support, honoring those sacrifices with incredible dignity.
It's a beautiful example of finding strength amidst grief and loss.
Yeah.
It's a testament to the human spirit's capacity to find light, even in the darkest of places. And it's not just about grand gestures of heroism, it's about showing up for each other in those everyday moments of darkness, too.
Right, how we respond to our personal setbacks, disappointments, those dark moments in our own lives.
Yes.
That's where resilience is truly tested.
Right.
It's about finding the strength to keep going, to keep believing, even when it's hard.
And speaking of finding strength in unexpected places, that brings us to Chapter 9. Start singing when you're up to your neck in mud.
This sounds interesting.
Ah, yes. This chapter is all about the power of hope.
Okay.
How it can unite and inspire us,
Yeah.
even when the odds seem stacked against us.
Okay.
McRaven uses this vivid imagery of Hell Week, specifically that grueling experience of being stuck in the Tijuana mudflats.
Okay.
The SEAL trainees are exhausted, freezing cold, covered in mud.
Oh my God.
And their morale is plummeting, and then one student starts singing.
Really?
Yes.
Such a small act, but it has this ripple effect. Soon, other students join in, defying the instructor's orders to stop.
Right.
That act of singing together in the midst of such hardship becomes a symbol of their collective spirit, their refusal to give in to despair.
It's a beautiful illustration of how hope, even in the form of a simple song, can uplift and strengthen a group.
Yeah.
And what's fascinating is that McRaven connects this to a seemingly very different experience.
What's that?
His time comforting families of fallen soldiers at Dover Air Force Base.
I'm curious to hear how he connects those two experiences.
Okay.
What do singing in the mud and comforting grieving families have in common?
It's all about finding that human connection, that shared experience, even in the face of unimaginable pain.
Yeah.
McRaven witnessed General John Kelly, who had lost his own son in combat, offering solace and support to grieving families.
Right.
And he realized that Kelly's unique ability to connect came from that shared understanding of loss and the enduring power of hope.
So it's about recognizing that even in the depths of despair, there's still the possibility of healing, of finding meaning, of moving forward together.
It is.
And sometimes all it takes is a song, a kind word, a shared moment of vulnerability to spark that hope.
It reminds us that hope is not just a passive emotion. It's an active choice. It's a choice we make even when it feels impossible. How can we, like those SEAL trainees in the mudflats, find ways to start singing during our own personal mudflat moments? And how can we be sources of hope for others who might be struggling to find their own song?
Those are powerful questions to consider.
They are.
And finally, we come to Chapter 10, Don't Ever, Ever Ring the Bell.
Okay.
This one is a powerful message about perseverance. About never giving up on yourself, even when faced with seemingly insurmountable obstacles.
McRaven takes us back to the very first day of SEAL training, where there's this brass bell hanging in the courtyard, a symbol of the easy way out. All you have to do is ring that bell 3 times. And you're free from the pain, the exhaustion, the relentless pressure of training.
But as tempting as that bell might seem, McRaven argues that ringing it means giving up on yourself, on your potential, on your dreams. It's about choosing to stay in the fight, even when you feel like you have nothing left to give.
And to illustrate this point, McRaven shares this incredibly moving story about a young double amputee Army Ranger he met in Afghanistan. Despite having lost both legs, this soldier radiated an unwavering spirit, a determination to continue serving his country, to live a life of purpose. His resilience is a testament to the human spirit's ability to overcome even the most devastating obstacles.
It's a story that really makes you reevaluate your own definition of quitting.
It does.
It's easy to think, well, I'm not facing anything as challenging as losing my limbs. But I think the lesson here is more about that inner strength, that refusal to let circumstances define you.
It's about asking ourselves, are we giving up too easily on our dreams, on our relationships, on ourselves? What would it look like to embrace that never quit mentality? Not just in those grand heroic moments, but in the everyday choices we make.
And you know, as we've been exploring these 10 lessons, it strikes me how interconnected they all are.
Yes, they are.
It's not just about making your bed or pushing through mud flats. It's about cultivating a mindset of resilience, of recognizing those small daily actions that shape our character and our response to life's inevitable curveballs.
Absolutely. Each of these seemingly simple acts McRaven highlights becomes a microcosm of a larger principle, a way to practice resilience, courage, and hope in our daily lives.
You, our listener, specifically wanted to extract actionable insights from this book. And I think McRaven delivers on that promise.
He does.
It's not just a collection of inspiring stories.
It's a call to action.
It is a call to action.
And that's what makes Make Your Bed such a powerful book. It's not just about what McRaven achieved. It's about what each of us are capable of achieving. When we tap into that inner strength, that resilience, that unwavering spirit that resides within all of us.
It's about recognizing that the challenges we face, whether they're as intense as SEAL training or as mundane as making our bed each morning, are opportunities to cultivate those qualities, to become the best versions of ourselves.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Make Your Bed, I'm curious, which of these 10 lessons has resonated with you the most so far? Is there one that's particularly relevant to what you're navigating right now?
I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Because ultimately that's what makes these lessons so powerful. They're not just inspiring stories, they're actionable insights, tools we can use to build a better, stronger, more resilient version of ourselves.
And to leave you with one final thought to ponder. Remember that story of the bell, that symbol of giving up? Think back to a time in your own life when you felt like ringing the bell. What kept you from doing it? Was it one of McRaven's principles at play? Even if you weren't consciously aware of it at the time.
Or perhaps knowing what you know now. Is there a different bell you need to resist ringing? Are you holding yourself back in some way? And how might these 10 lessons help you push past that hesitation?
Remember, you have the power to choose your response.
Yes, you do.
To choose resilience, to choose hope. To choose to never ever quit.
And who knows, maybe your story will be the one inspiring others to never ring the bell.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Thanks everybody.
Until next time, keep making your bed, keep paddling, and keep singing, even when you're up to your neck in mud.
You know, it's amazing how McRaven ties all of these simple acts from his SEAL training to these universal life lessons. It's like, you know, we might not all be facing down terrorists.
We're swimming with sharks. But we all have our own mud flats and bells to contend with.
That's true. And the beauty of it is those principles of resilience, teamwork, and finding that inner strength. They really do apply no matter what challenges you're facing.
And you, our listener, sent in this book because you're facing some transitions in your life right now. As we've been talking, have any of these lessons sparked any ideas for you? For how you might apply them to your own situation?
That's the magic of McRaven's book, isn't it? It's not just a theoretical framework, it's a practical guide. He gives you those tangible tools, those daily actions that you can take to cultivate those qualities of resilience and courage, even if you're not jumping out of airplanes or battling the elements.
It's like he's saying, look, if I can make it through SEAL training, you can handle that tough conversation with your boss. Or finally start that project you've been putting off.
Exactly. And he reminds us that we don't have to do it alone. Remember that chapter about finding your paddlers?
Oh yeah, those are the people that are going to help you.
Yes. Who are those people in your life that can help you to navigate these transitions?
Right. Are we being good paddlers for other people?
Exactly. It's a two-way street.
Yeah, we need to be willing to both receive support and to offer it to others.
For sure.
And I think that's where that whole start singing idea comes in.
Yes.
You know, it's not just about being optimistic.
Right.
It's about actively creating a more hopeful, supportive environment for ourselves and those around us.
It's like that ripple effect. One person starts singing and then another joins in, and pretty soon the whole group is singing together.
Yeah.
Finding strength in that shared experience.
And that brings us back to that powerful image of the bell.
Yes.
You know, McRaven makes it clear that ringing that bell isn't just about quitting SEAL training. It's about giving up on yourself.
Yeah.
On your potential challenge.
And he doesn't shy away from the fact that there will be moments when you want to ring that bell.
Right.
When the pain, the exhaustion, the sheer difficulty of the task ahead feels so overwhelming.
We all have those moments, right?
We do.
When we just feel like giving up.
Yeah.
But McRaven reminds us that we have a choice.
We do.
We can give in to those feelings.
Right.
Or we can choose to dig deep. Find that inner strength.
Yes.
To keep pushing forward, even if it's just one small step at a time.
And you know, that doesn't mean ignoring those feelings of wanting to quit.
Right.
It's about acknowledging them, sitting with them.
Yeah.
And then asking yourself, what's one small thing I can do right now to move forward?
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with this thought.
Okay.
Remember that story of the double amputee Army Ranger?
Yes. Such an incredible testament to the power of the human spirit.
It really is.
It's a story that stays with you long after you finish the book.
It does.
It makes you realize that our limitations are often self-imposed.
Exactly. And that brings us back to you, our listener.
Okay.
You mentioned that you're facing some tough decisions, some big changes.
Yeah.
What's your bell right now?
What's that thing that's tempting you to give up?
How can you apply McRaven's 10 lessons to find the strength, the courage, the resilience to keep moving forward?
Remember, you have the power to choose your response.
Right.
You have the power to choose hope. You have the power to choose to never, ever ring the bell.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Admiral McRaven's Make Your Bed.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everybody.
We hope you found it insightful and, most importantly, actionable.
Yeah.
And remember, even when you're up to your neck in mud, keep singing.
Keep singing.
We'll catch you next time on The Deep Dive.